this video, I'm going to show you how to use the churchofjesuschrist.org church calendar system to schedule events. So this video is for stake calendar administrators, ward calendar administrators, and also calendar editors, anyone that the bishopric or the stake presidency has assigned to help manage a calendar. And especially if you're new to your calling, this video will help you get started. So here I am at churchofjesuschrist.org, and I'm signed in, and I'm just going to go up here to Tools and choose Calendar, and that takes me in to the church calendar interface. Now, if you're not familiar with how the church calendar works just as a general member of the church, please watch my other church calendar video that is meant for general church membership. It demonstrates how to show and hide specific calendars, how to set reminders, how to move forward and back within the calendar. So if you need some of those basics of using the calendar, you should definitely watch that first. And I would recommend sharing it with people in your ward or stake, especially the leadership. But in this video, we're going to focus in specifically on how to schedule an event in the church calendar. It used to be, years ago, that most wards would coordinate with the other wards in their building, and they would call a building scheduler. And that building scheduler would work with all the wards in the building and their leadership to coordinate events that needed to be put on the calendar and reserve the building for those events. Well, as you can see in this quote from the church website, the current church calendar system is meant to replace having a building scheduler, somebody that works with 2 or more wards to reserve the building. So based on this quote, it seems to me the recommendation from the church is that each ward or stake have a member of their leadership or an assigned calendar editor go in and create their own events for the ward leadership or stake leadership. And when they do, they select the building and rooms for the event without going through a building scheduler. They simply put it into the calendar. Now, if 2 or more organizations or wards or the stake try to schedule the same building at the same time, the system will automatically detect those scheduling conflicts. So let's take a look at how to do that. Let's say I am a stake calendar administrator, and you can see there a list of people who are stake calendar administrators. And let's say an organization in the stake, maybe the Stake Relief Society presidency, calls me up and says that they would like to reserve maybe August 3rd for a special Relief Society event. How would I go about doing that? The first thing I might do is turn on my locations calendars. So if I check these boxes here at the left, any events that are scheduled for the stake center will appear. What about the other buildings in the stake? If there's a chance that we may be using those buildings, I should turn on those buildings by checking their boxes. Okay, now I'm seeing all of the events that are tied to a building in our stake on August 3rd. Okay, so let's say the Stake Relief Society president calls me up on the phone, wants the 3rd of August. I turned on these calendars so I know that there's really no conflict in the stake center on that night. But there is an event that one of the wards is putting on, so that's something for the Relief Society president to know, that there may be some people that can't come because they're going to the ward event. But it's in a different building, so I could go ahead and just click anywhere here in the blank space for August 3rd, and I can start the process of scheduling this event. The church calendar system gives me this list of information that I can fill out to schedule this event. So I'm going to click where it says Event Name, and I'll type Relief Society Service Project. I can put in a description. This is a great opportunity to just put in a simple explanation of what's going to happen at the event. Maybe something like this. I can tap Enter and put in more information. Other information that you might want to include could be things like what the dress code will be for the event, items that participants should maybe bring to the event, and maybe consider adding who is invited. Next, it's very important that I consider what calendar to put this event on. If I click Select, in my case, I see the stake calendar, and I see 4 location calendars or building calendars. If you are a ward calendar administrator or calendar editor, you will probably just see your ward calendar down here and 1 or more location calendars. In this case, this is an official stake activity, and so I want it to be on the stake calendar. I want stake members to be able to see it, and get the information. So I put it on the official stake calendar. Next, I need to think about, is this an all-day event or does it have specific start and end times? If it's all day, just check that box, make sure the date is correct, and you're done. You can move on. I use all-day events for holidays like Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas Eve, etc. But for just about any other kind of event or calendar item, I don't like to use the all-day events. I want there to be a specific start time and end time so that participants know what time to arrive. So let's say I'm still on the phone with the Relief Society president and she says, we want this event on August 3rd. And I say, well, what's the start time of the event? And let's say she replies that she needs the building from 5 until 10 p.m. It's very important that I find out what she means by that. 5 to 10 p.m. Are those the times that she wants participants to arrive at the event and leave the event? Does it really start at 5 and end at 10? Or does it start later and she just needs the building before that to get ready? So as you are helping people schedule events, in my opinion, it's part of your calling, part of your assignment, to find out what the actual start time of the event is. I see this mistake happen over and over on ward and state calendars, where people will ask for a specific time for the building to be reserved, but that's not really when they intend to start the event. That's a huge problem. So instead of just putting in 5 o'clock p.m., I'm going to ask that Relief Society president, okay, I understand that you want the building from 5 to 10, but what time does the event actually start? When do you want people to arrive, to participate, and for the event to start? And she says, okay, how about 7 p.m.? Okay, that's a lot better, and it's important that that be correct. Why? Because the members of the stake or ward are going to look at the calendar, they're going to see that start time, and that's when they're going to arrive. The end time, I could type, or I could just use this clock to select the time that the event ends, maybe 8:30 p.m. Next, I need to consider, is this a repeating event? Is this an event that's going to repeat every week, maybe on Thursdays? If so, I can say that I want the event to repeat until a certain date. And I think you're limited to, 2 years out. I may be wrong about that. The other option is I could have it repeat a certain number of occurrences. So maybe for the next 10 weeks, we're going to have this service project. I would put in occurrences 10. You can also schedule events that repeat monthly on a certain day of the month or yearly. In my case, though, this is not a repeating event, so I'm going to uncheck that option. Okay, so far we're doing well. We have our event title, the description. We've put it on a calendar that people can check to learn about the event. And we've got our start date, our start time and end time. Notice that somehow my end date has disappeared, probably because I switched from all-day event to not all-day event. But I'm going to click here on this calendar icon and put in August 3rd again as my end date. So things are going well. But if I simply go down here and click Save at this point, no building location will be reserved for this event. Yes, the event will show up on the stake calendar and people will know what time the event starts. They may even know where it will happen. For example, in my description here, I said it will be at the stake center. That's all well and good. People will know where to go, I guess, but no actual location is reserved. So another ward or another organization could reserve the same rooms and kind of steal them out from under my activity that I'm trying to schedule for the Stake Relief Society. So that's why it's important that we go down here to location and switch it from none to church facility. And now I click select a church facility or location, and I can choose from the buildings that I have access to. I'll pick the Stake Center, and now I'm on the verge of reserving this building for our event. No one else can take it, no one else can schedule it. It will be reserved for our Stake Relief Society event, as long as there are no other conflicts. Underneath that, there's an option to build in some setup and cleanup times. If you remember, the Relief Society president wanted the building from 5 till 10. Well, this is how you can set that up. You can say that the setup time will be 2 hours, and that will make this building unschedulable by anyone else from 5 p.m. until 8:30 p.m. What about cleanup? I'm going to build in 2 hours of cleanup time. So again, once I click Save, the rooms that I need in this building will be unschedulable by anyone else from 5 until 10:30 p.m. All right, I mentioned rooms. Let's consider that. If you need to, you can schedule the entire building. Every room in the building, even the pavilion, if you have one, will be scheduled and reserved for this event. No one else will be able to do any other activity in the building. In many cases, though, you don't need the whole building. And if you don't need the whole thing, it's best not to schedule the whole building. For this event, let's say they're going to use the pavilion, the cultural hall, various parts of the cultural hall, and the serving area, and the Relief Society room. I'm going to browse down to the bottom now. Now that I've got some rooms set to be reserved, there's 2 last options I have, and then I'll save it, and they'll actually be reserved. My next option is email reminder. Do I want there to be an email reminder before the event or right now? Let's say before the event, maybe 1 day before, and that reminder will be sent out. I'm going to uncheck that box. And finally, one of my favorite features in the church calendar system, you can add event organizers information. So I can go in here and put in the Relief Society president's name. So I could type in her name, her email address, and phone number. And that way, if there are questions about this event, they can just call or email directly to the person that wanted the event scheduled. Now I can click Save. And as long as there are no conflicts, this event will be created and added to the calendar as I have set up the event to be. So it just appeared on August 3rd. There it is. Now stake members will be able to click on the event to see details, and they'll be able to see who the organizer is and how to contact the organizer. Now that example I just gave of the Stake Relief Society president asking for an activity, that's an official stake activity. And of course that would be very similar to scheduling an official ward activity. But what if a member of the ward or stake needs to schedule the building not for an official event, but just for a private event? Well, it's a similar process. You put in the event name, a description if necessary, but then when you get to calendar, you click to select the calendar. You may not want to put it on the official stake calendar of events. People will think it's a stake event. Let's say it's a private reception or birthday party for a member of the stake or ward. You probably don't want that on the stake calendar or ward calendar. Instead, simply put it on the location calendar. So I'll put it here directly on the location calendar. I'll just make this one an all-day event. No setup necessary, entire facility, and I can click Save. Now notice that because I selected the calendar for the actual location, the physical building, I never had to add that information here in the location dropdown. The calendar system automatically knew what the location was here because I had put it up here. So now if I were to save this event, it would not show up on ward calendars or stake calendars. Only people who go to the location and turn it on will be able to see that event. But having said that, no other organization, ward, or stake will be able to schedule an event at the same time as that private event because the building is reserved. If you ever need to edit an event, you can just click on the event to then click the edit button and make your changes. You also do have the option to remove an event. One thing to be aware of, whenever you change an event or remove an event, the people in your ward or stake that don't use the church calendar on churchofjesuschrist.org, but instead use the app that's part of Member Tools, they may not see the changes that you've made or the cancellation of the event. If you delete an event or edit it, they don't see those changes unless they update their app. In my opinion, that's a powerful reason to try to limit the number of last-minute changes or cancellations or moving of events from day to day. I think it's best to try to get those details right the first time and then try not to change them too much. A couple of final things that would be good for you to know. First, I just want to review who are ward calendar administrators. As you can see here, these are the callings that are kind of automatically set up to be calendar administrators. So the bishopric, executive secretaries, clerks, also ward website administrators should be able to just go in and act as calendar administrators. Let's also review who are stake calendar administrators. So these people can schedule stake calendar events, make changes to them, and so forth. Now, stake calendar administrators and ward calendar administrators also have the ability to delete unnecessary ward or stake calendars. I want to show you what the church website has to say about the number of stake calendars and ward calendars. As you can see, the church website seems to be nudging us toward having just one stake calendar, maybe two at the most. When it comes to ward calendars, the recommendation seems to be to have very few ward calendars. And the way I read this, it seems to be that the recommendation is still to have maybe just one ward calendar, or possibly two at the most. But they're leaving it up to the wards to make those decisions. If you look here at the left, take a look at the number of calendars that the wards in our stake have set up. Most of the wards have 5 to 10 to 15 different calendars, and in some cases, having so many calendars can lead to confusion for members of a ward or stake. They may think that they're looking at the ward calendar because they've got the ward activities calendar selected, but maybe the young men events are on a separate calendar. And so the members of the ward may never see those events because they're kind of hidden on a separate calendar. Or maybe your ward puts all of the events on the ward activities calendar. That's great. But then why distract the members of the ward by throwing in all of these other calendars that maybe you're not really even using? And so the church seems to be encouraging us to consider limiting the number of calendars. If you want to do that, how could you do it? What you would do is go here to the gear symbol in the upper right corner, click, and choose Manage Calendars. The list of calendars that you have rights to will show up, and then you can click to remove calendars that you no longer need out of the system. Once you've done that, the members of your ward will no longer see that calendar listed here at the left. Now, before you do that, you're going to probably want to select that calendar and see if there are any events that need to be moved to a different calendar. If they do need to be moved, you can just click on them, edit, and then switch the calendar that they show up on and click Save. So thanks for watching this video. I hope this helps you to get up and running and ready to be a calendar administrator for your ward or stake, or maybe you're a calendar editor for your ward or stake. I hope this video helps you in that effort. And, I really believe that as the membership of the church becomes more and more technology savvy, the more important it will become that we make sure that the calendar is accurate and that we're using it properly. Thanks for watching this video. If you found this video to be helpful, please consider sharing it with others that may have similar responsibilities so that they can also use the church calendar effectively.